Most people believe that danger gives you a warning, a scream, a siren, a moment to prepare. But the truth is much more unsettling. The most dangerous moments of your life usually begin feeling completely normal. You're just a journalist doing a report, a fan at a game, a traveler sharing a sunset. Today, we are looking at 6 times the world watched a tragedy unfold in real time, and the people involved didn't realize they were the main characters until it was already too late. From the journalist who unknowingly stepped on a missing person live on air, to the brother whose mercy confession shocked a nation. These are stories that prove the line between a normal day and a permanent nightmare is much thinner than you think. On March 2018, Johannesburg, a routine commuter bus was hijacked by a former security officer with a weapon. He wanted media attention, and within minutes, news channels were broadcasting the standoff live to millions. But there was a fatal flaw in the plan. The suspect had a phone, and he was watching the live news coverage from inside the bus, as the news showed exclusive footage of snipers positioning on nearby rooftops. The gunman was watching his own tactical disadvantage in real time. He knew exactly where the police were before they were even ready. The broadcast meant to inform the public ended up giving the criminal a map of his own capture. The tension escalated. Shots were fired, and a routine bus ride became a national tragedy, all because the media forgot that the villain is also a viewer. On April 18, 2024, journalist Daniel Reyes arrived at the San Marcos River just before sunrise. The water was like a mirror, reflecting a pale orange sky. But 12 hours earlier, this peaceful spot had become a crime scene. A 19-year-old college student named Emily Carter had simply vanished. She was kayaking with friends in a beginner-friendly area. When her boat tipped, she didn't panic. She stood up in the knee-deep water, laughed, and then, in a split second, she dropped. It was as if a trapdoor had opened under the current. She never resurfaced. The next morning, Daniel was doing a live segment to warn viewers about these hidden drop-offs. To demonstrate how deceptive the river was, he took one careful step forward into the murky water. He stopped mid-sentence. His professional face went pale. Under his foot, he didn't feel sand. He didn't feel a rock. He felt something soft. Something that shifted. Daniel didn't finish the report. He signaled his producers to cut the feed and called the police immediately. He had just stepped on Emily. The river hadn't carried her away. The current had tucked her into a submerged ledge just inches from where people were standing. The warning segment had unknowingly ended the search. Live on air. In 2025, a news station in Portland received an email that stopped the producers in their tracks. It was from Michael Hargrove. 9 years earlier, Michael's younger sister, Allison, had disappeared. Michael told the world she moved abroad after a family fight. The police had no evidence to prove otherwise, so the case went cold. But in late 2024, auditors realized Allison's retirement checks were still being cashed. Knowing the net was closing in, Michael didn't run. He asked for a live TV interview to explain the truth. During the broadcast, Michael sat there, terrifyingly calm. He talked about morality and suffering. Then the reporter asked the one question everyone wanted to know. Michael, when was the last time you saw your sister? The silence lasted forever. Then, Michael leaned in and admitted everything. He said he had pushed her during an argument. She hit her head, and he panicked. He had buried her on the family farm nearly a decade ago. But what shocked the viewers most was his tone. He insisted he acted out of mercy, because she was unhappy. He was arrested before he could even take off his microphone. November 11th, 2023. Prague's indoor arena was deafening. Star handball player Lukas was at the peak of his career. Midway through the second half, Lukas intercepted the ball and sprinted toward the goal. Thousands of fans stood up, ready to cheer. Then, without being touched by a single player, Lukas stumbled. He didn't trip. He just turned off. The stadium went from a roar to a silence so heavy you could hear the medics' shoes squeaking on the court. For 20 minutes. The world watched a live feed of teammates crying while paramedics performed CPR on a 22-year-old who looked like a Greek god. It wasn't an injury. It was a silent, undiagnosed heart condition. He never woke up. That championship game ended as a reminder that even peak physical condition can hide a ticking time bomb. On July 7, 2019, viewers in Argentina were watching a routine morning show when the screen cut to urgent news. A small aircraft carrying a documentary crew had disappeared over the mountains of Patagonia. Rescuers eventually found the wreckage scattered across a frozen slope. Among the debris, they found a camera. It was still recording. When investigators watched the footage, they expected to hear screams. Instead, they saw something much more haunting. The crew was laughing. They were checking their lenses and talking about what they were going to eat for dinner. They were completely unaware that powerful wind shear was pushing them toward the mountain at hundreds of miles per hour. The footage captures the exact second their conversation stopped forever. It's a chilling look at the thin line between a normal day and history. August 2022. Travel vlogger Aaron Blake was live streaming a sunset from a cliff overlooking the Adriatic Sea. Thousands were watching the perfect scenery behind him. But while Aaron was looking at his camera, his viewers were looking at a tourist in the background who had climbed over a safety rail for a photo. The chat exploded. Thousands of messages poured in. Look behind you. Stop him. But Aaron was focused on his narration. He didn't see the messages. Seconds later, the tourist slipped. The fall happened just outside Aaron's field of vision. But every single person watching the stream saw it clearly. Aaron only realized what happened when he looked at the screen and saw his viewers. Collective trauma. It remains a haunting example of how we can be connected to the world, yet completely blind to what's happening 5 feet behind us.